This has got to be one of the smoothest climbs to master rank that I've had so far, and just about every single game I completely wreck the opponent, and I'm really excited to show you guys this deck because it's really fun. So let's take a look at the deck list here. We have a turn 0 Ghoti deck, but what I've done with this deck is I built it to go first, so it's consistent going first, but if you happen to lose the coin flip, your opponent is not going to have a good time because we have 20 hand traps. In the past, turn 0 Ghoti decks were very inconsistent. They required you to use things like Rescue Ace Impulse and Psyframe Gamma, both which required you to have a brick in your deck. If you were drawing these bricks going second or not drawing the right cards, then you just lost without really being able to put up a fight. But with the release of Mulcharmies, we will consistently have access to cards that allow us to draw into those combo pieces to play going second. Another card that was released that made this deck a little bit better going first is Broomy. Broomy allows you to reveal this card and one monster in your hand and then special summon one of the two. So it's like a Harpooner, except it's a level 2 tuner. Because it banishes the card that you don't summon, you can banish Moonlight of the Ghoti so it doesn't stick in your hand, or you can do things like banish your Ghoti tuners. You can also summon one of your hand traps, so your hand traps are not really as bricky going first because you can always use them as combo pieces. And what really makes this deck able to go second is your Accel Synchro. You hop here into Accel Synchro, summon a tuner from the graveyard, one of your Ghoti tuners, and that lets you deep beyond. And SP Little Knight's really good here because this allows you to, it helps you in grind games. You banish your tuners or you banish Sykes from the graveyard and you keep going. So that's why I have 2 of them, but the second one never really comes up. Changing doesn't come up either, so if you're starving for URs, you don't really need these 2. A good alternative would be some level 8 or 6 Synchro monsters. We have Dragite for spell trap negates. We also have Juju, which is very similar to SP in that it banishes 2 monsters from your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names. Then you can target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. So it has a removal, and you can also banish your fish and help you in those grind games. This also has an effect that prevents it from being destroyed by battle or card effects, so that's also pretty useful. And then another budget alternative would be Lizardos, which is a level 2 Link monster. Where is that? Also an enemy. An enemy's an option. Where's Lizardos? There it is. Then we also have Lizardos. You can banish 1 monster from your face-up field or graveyard with 2000 or less attack. Then target 1 face-up monster on the field, make its attack become equal to the original attack of the monster banished to activate this effect. So you can banish your tuners, and that helps you in grinds, but you won't be able to banish Sykes. Sykes has more than 2000 attack, so that's the downside there. So one thing that I'm trying to improve in this deck is the Harpooner. Unlike Broomy, which works with basically any hand, Harpooner is a bit more specific, and so it's a little bricky. Ideally, I would want to replace this with Fish. That way we don't reduce our fish count and Snopio still has fish to banish on the opponent's turn. But we don't really have a lot of options here. Ready Fusion is a good alternative here. It'll be able to synchro with your Mulcharmies, your Retaliating Sea, and your tuners by summoning your rare fish or your level 2 tuner Alvain. But again, it's taking up space in the deck that would normally go to fish, and so it makes you slightly weaker going second, but not by much. I think it's worth considering. This is a going first deck anyway that just can play going second really well. So let's take a look at some of these replays. So with a hand like this, you could use Broomy to banish the Sykes, Moonlight of the Ghoti, and Moonlight of the Ghoti will banish the Paces and special summon the Moonlight. But it's the exact same combo as Paces, special summoning the Sykes from the hand. So we're just going to do that, save the Broomy for the following turn, and the opponent's going to Ash that Moonlight, and then we're just going to summon the Paces, activate the Maxi on the opponent's turn. So this player is playing all the best engines. They got Kashtira, Snake Eyes, FiendSmith. With just Paces and Moonlight of the Ghoti, we can summon Deep Beyond and wipe the board. So we're not going to do it unless we're forced into it or we have a good place to banish the field, and this looks like a really good spot to banish the field. The opponent summoned so many monsters and cards for us. It doesn't look like they knew that this board could Moonlighted, the Ghoti, and Paces could go into a Deep Beyond, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. We'll activate the Fuwalos while the field is empty, so we can do that. Mulcharmies are never really a dead card in this deck, since, you know, Deep Beyond, Ascan, both of these cards banish the field, and sometimes you're left with no monsters. With only one card in their hand and 5 cards in my hand, the opponent's gonna scoop. So now we're up against the same deck, but this time we're going second. We have a pretty good hand here. We have Snopios, we can banish the Psych, search for Zap, and we also have our Hoppier Squadron to special summon and get into a Deep Beyond. They'll activate Hallowed Azamina, special summon a fusion monster that can negate any effect. It's a non-negate. They'll normal summon the Snake Eye Ash, special summon the Poplar. We'll activate Snopios, banish the Paces and the Sykes. We'll activate the Snopios on summon, targeting the Snake Eye Ash. Moonlight will banish the Keef. They'll negate the Sykes. But we still get to go into Hoppier Squadron, go into our SL Synchro, and it's a bit awkward not having anything in the hand on turn 0, but that's just the way the cards were dealt. We're going to special summon our Hoppier, SL Synchro will activate, we'll special summon that Stardust Dragon, and immediately Synchro into a level 10 Synchro. We'll go into Satellite Warrior, destroy 2 cards. Thanks to Snopios, the Snake Eye was banished. They're going to go into a Link 2 here, into Closed Heaven. This is so they can have a Fiend on the field, so they can link 1 into a Requiem. They'll tribute that to go into Engravier. Engravier will equip a Link monster. They'll tribute that Link monster to try to destroy our Satellite Warrior, but our Satellite Warrior is unaffected by activated effects for the rest of the turn, because it was summoned by a Cell Synchro Stardust Dragon. Using Requiem's effect, they're going to fusion summon into Lacrima. Lacrima will special summon the Engravier from the graveyard. And then using those 2 level 6s, they'll go into a Beatrice. Beatrice will send a card to the graveyard. They'll link into a Promethean Princess. Lacrima will shuffle the Link back into the extra deck and burn us for 1200 damage. Princess will summon the Snake Eyes Oak, which will summon the Snake Eye Ash. They're going to go into a Flameberg here. Flameberg will put the Fenrir in the Spell and Trap Zone. Then they'll link into the Link 4 with Princess and the Flameberg. Flameberg will special summon a bunch of fire from the graveyard. Then they'll be able to special summon the Engravier from the graveyard. We'll go into IP Masquerena. Now it looks like they did end up on a board that's a little weaker than they usually end up, but it's still pretty good. So we're gonna get our fish back from the banish zone. The Keef will banish that Fenrir, special summon the Sykes, and we'll get a search in. We'll search for our Schiff, banish the Paces. We have to be careful because Princess is still in the graveyard, so we're gonna special summon Whale. They'll activate IP Masquerena. And there goes that little knight. Whale will now destroy their cards. Little Knight will be unaffected by card destruction thanks to IP Masquerena. And they're going to banish the Satellite Warrior. So now we're just going to go into the battle phase, destroy that SP. Amphibious will pop Whale. Whale banish Sykes. Summon the Whale. Sykes will banish Snopios. We'll summon the Sykes. Add Snopios to the hand. Then attack the defense monster with Whale. Get some piercing damage in. Destroy IP with Sykes, and then end the main phase 2. We can synchro into our Ascan. Ascan will banish the face down card. We'll banish the Shift from the graveyard, summon the Ascan. Link into a SB Little Knight with our Synchro monsters, so we can banish another card. And end our turn. We still have our Sykes in the graveyard, so we can banish that with our Snopios. So the opponent's going to summon that Kashtira, will banish it with Keef, special summon our Paces, and he's donezo. Game 3, and we have a pretty good hand here. We have Retaliating Sea, we have Snopios, and a Zep, and we have another fish, so we can summon our Snopios. The Activate Sprite Starter will respond by special summoning our Retaliating Sea, and then we're going to special summon that Zep. Then go into White Oar Whale, banish 2 cards from their field. they'll link into Sprite Elf, banishing 2 more of their cards. Next game, and we did choose to go first, but we bricked here, but not really a brick, because we drew 3 Max Cs and a Retaliating C. So we're going to activate Parelia. They did not have an Ash, so we're going to draw here, and we drew into a Hopier. This is where things get spicy. They activate Hollow Azamina, and this card just gets completely countered by Retaliating C. It fizzles if you can't send your monsters to the graveyard. And remember, Melcharmies cannot activate if you have a body on the field, so that's why we activated it in response to Retaliating C before Retaliating C hit the field. The opponent doesn't want to play this Maxi challenge, so they're going to skip to our turn. We did draw into another Maxi, so we will be getting draws that next turn. We'll normal summon that Leaf Fish, then we're going to pass our turn. So on the opponent's turn, we'll get our tuner back, activate the Maxi, get a draw. Ooh, and we drew into another Retaliating C. We'll special summon our Sykes. Sykes will add the Snopios to the hand and banish the other Moonlight. I don't have to wipe the field yet, so the opponent's going to keep going. They're going to normal summon the Snake Eye Ash, get the Poplar, and now I can go into a combo here. We're going to go for Ascan, banish the Sykes, add the Zep. The opponent is forced into playing into the Maxi challenge. They're going to activate that spell to special summon a monster. We're going to special summon Retaliating C. And then we're going to go for a White Aura Whale using Snopios and Zep. This is to banish 4 of their cards without having to go into a Deep Beyond, and also without having to remove Retaliating C, because as long as that's on the field, they're going to have a hard time. So this time the opponent chose to go second, but I didn't really have a good hand to go first. I do have that Max C, so on the opponent's turn, I'll wait for them to special summon a monster because I'm really in need for some draws here. I'll activate the Max C. They'll call by the grave that Max C. So this is not looking good for us. We only have Hopier, Sykes, and Zap. Not really something we can do much with. So we'll have to wait for that following turn, and hopefully we'll get a really good draw here. They're going to just continue doing their Sky Striker looping here from one Link monster to the next. They're going to go into Shizuku and end their turn. So on our turn, we draw into a Retaliating C. Not the best. I'm just going to normal summon the Zap, and then we'll see what happens. On the opponent's turn, they go into the battle phase, destroy that Zap, activate the Sky Striker Mobilize. We'll special summon the Retaliating C, and it banishes their spells. They destroy it. We draw into a Max C. They activate talents, draw 2 cards, and end their turn. So now we have a Bestial. So what I want to do is I want to special summon this, and I want them to trigger their Widow Anchor, so then I don't have to worry about it on their turn. They can always just steal my monsters with Widow Anchor and then use it to link into a monster, and I don't want them to do that. So it's their turn, and now they have another Widow Anchor. They have 2. We're going to go ahead and go into a Hopier with our Ascan. This is to prevent them from using our monsters to go into links. We're going to banish that face down card with Ascan. Ascan will banish the Sykes. Sykes will banish the Zep. We'll activate Moonlight on Chainlink 1, Zep on Chainlink 2, add the Paces to the hand and banish it with Moonlight. Then with Zep, we'll go into Deep Beyond. Deep Beyond will banish the field. And now they can't use that face down pot of Avarice that they set on the field the previous turn to draw 2 cards. So now we have our Paces and Keef. On our turn, we'll normal summon that Leaf Fish. They don't have any Widow Anchors anymore. All of them are in the graveyard banished. We'll go into that Arian Post, summon the Sykes. Sykes will add Snopios. We'll banish that Keef, banish the Shift, go into that battle phase. They're going to special summon our Bestial, and we're going to go into Little Knight here, banish that Bestial, Now I'm not sure if this was necessary because I think Bit still goes to my graveyard, so it doesn't trigger for them, right? I don't know, but I didn't want to take that chance. So on the opponent's turn, they activate evenly. We banish 2 of our cards. We're going to keep Keith on the field. This is to prevent them from special summoning their Link monster. Another match with some more retaliating sea shenanigans. We're going to go into Pacey's. Pacey's special summon the Leaf Fish. Leaf Fish sends the Shift to the graveyard, banish that Shift, and then we're going to pass our turn. So on the opponent's turn, we'll get both of our tuners back. Now here's a misplay. I didn't realize they were going into the battle phase and I let them. They banish both of my tuners. That's fine. I still have Hopier in the hand. They're going to add Branded Fusion to the hand. They'll activate that Branded Fusion. Will respond with Retaliating Sea. All the monsters used for this fusion summon will be banished. There goes Fallen of Albaz. Now they don't want Albion to end up in the graveyard, so they're not going to fuse with Albion. They're going to activate Albion and then special summon using some monster in their hand and field to go into Dust Dragon. Branded Loss will add Blazing Cartesia to the hand. It looks like they're going to try to go into the battle phase, destroy the Retaliating Sea, and then use Cartesia to fusion summon. But we're not going to let that happen. We're going to go into Whale, destroy all of their monsters, and banish them. So here's a clunky hand with Leaf Fish and Harpooner, which I wish was a ready fusion instead of that Harpooner, but you know, we're going to play with what we have. We'll activate Leaf Fish, send the Shift to the graveyard, and we're going to normal summon that Squadron, play into their Fuwalos, and banish the Sykes from the deck. Sykes will add Pacey's, and we'll banish that Pacey's. So this deck doesn't really play too hard into these draw hand traps. So now we're going to special summon our Shift and our Pacey's. The opponent is playing a Yubel. They're going to go straight into their Phantom of Yubel. They've negated our Pacey's, but we're going to activate that Max C. They'll activate the Lotus, special summon a Yubel, add the Nightmare Pain, activate the Nightmare Pain. Now we're going to go into our Deep Beyond, wipe the board. They'll destroy the Spirit of Yubel. So the board is wiped, and now we can activate our Fuwalos. Summon the Sykes Moonlighted the Ghoti. We'll activate Moonlight, banish the Keith. So here we're gonna summon in a Cell Synchro, summon the Shift, summon the Stardust, and wipe the field again with Deep Beyond. John just got wrecked. Okay, so now it's our turn. We're gonna get our Shift and our Pacey's back, and we just drew into a second Snopios. We'll get both Deep Beyonds. So I'm gonna go into Little Knight. This is because I want to banish the graveyard with my Snopios. So then I can go into a Baron de Floor in case they have any hand traps in their hand that prevents me from attacking their life points. Now we have more than enough to finish them off with 8,000 damage. We're going first. This one's not such a good hand, but again, it's good going second. So let's see what the opponent has. Yep. So they activate the Branded Regained. Normal summon that Tenpai Grinkroc. We're going to activate Fuwalos here. They respond with Ash Blossom, but we have a Max C. The Bestial Juice Worm is going to be dead against this deck, but we still have Retaliating Sea, which can trigger off their Tenpai spell. Hopefully we can draw into something like a Snopios. Snopios is going to help us here. So they're just going to go straight into the battle phase and not try to OTK us right now under Max C. Fine by me. But in the main phase 2, they're going to combo anyway. And then they're going to go into Bident Dragon. Bident will summon a monster from the graveyard. That one will also summon a monster from the graveyard. Here we're just going to go into our Snopios, banish the Zep. Activate Hopier. So Hopier is going to jump into Ascan first. And on summon of Ascan, our Zep will hit the field. This way on the next chain, we can activate both our Zep and our Ascan. The Ascan will banish their field spell, and the Zep will summon the Deep Yawn and wipe the board. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, because I sure did. See you next time.